who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, a law teacher, a newspaper columnist, and believe it or not, a movie producer. It's good to see you this morning. Welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Good morning, and thank you for having me this morning.
Well, I do not know how you have been following or how you follow the events that happened right here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, but I can bet my last penny that you have certainly been following what has been happening internationally between Israel, Iran, and now the United States. Knowing what you know, though, about ECOWAS and the challenges we have locally, where do you think we should, what do you think should be our stance, given all that is happening internationally and the implications that it could have for us as a country and also as a region?
Well, basically, the challenge is for us to put our acts together, because just like you rightly said, we are in a very precarious moment. The war in Israel and the war between Israel and Iran, I will call it a war, is pretending to be a very harsh reality on all of us economically, because very soon we will see the effect of it in the price of oil. And even though Nigeria is an oil-producing country, we know that selling the crude oil alone is not enough for us to stabilize our economy. The flip aspect of it is that much of the end product of the oil itself, which is the fuel we use for much of what we use as fuel for our own vehicles, our own factories, and all of that are going to come from abroad, irrespective of the efforts that is being made by Dangote. So we are going to have that effect very soon on an economy that is stuttering. And for the region, the challenge is that, especially the posture from Trump in banning of our citizens in visiting America, it would trickle down to what ECOWAS itself has identified, which is it would hamper trade and, of course, also create further challenges to our own economy. So the imperative is that we have to really go back to the purpose and the spirit for which ECOWAS was established. It was an economic union, yes, but it also has its own political imperatives. If we do not get serious about our own integration, not just economically, but politically, we're going to find ourselves in a situation that it may not be too good for us. So the message is very clear. We have to actually go back to the intendment of the founding fathers for the creation of ECOWAS. ECOWAS has to be much more reorganized and re-energized, and it should move faster from the talk shop they've been having towards the purpose, like I said, which is economic integration. And at the bottom of that is financial integration. We should by now have a common currency so that trade will be seamless within the region. Without that, we're going to be wasting efforts and resources on ECOWAS.
It's a tricky one. I'm looking at the inaugural speech of President Bill in his own round of chairmanship, and he says he's prioritizing 4 key areas, namely restoring constitutional order and deepening democracy, revitalizing regional security cooperation, unlocking economic integration, and building institutional credibility, which is where it would seem ECOWAS is having a bit of a challenge right now, given the fact that 3 of its members, are now former members. I understand that their flags were not there yesterday. Of course, the grace period and all the periods of grace given to them have now been exhausted, and they did not take advantage of it. Nonetheless, it does appear that somehow there is no way that the entire region can move forward without these 3 being included. So how do you think you're going to set about the task of building institutional credibility when we still have members who oftentimes do not want to follow the rules?
It's a very serious one, and I would use your word. This is a very tricky one for Madabio himself. Yes, he's an experienced leader. I do not think that his colleagues selected him out of the corps. Yes, it's a rotational thing, but he must also come to the party with some credentials. He's been in power all through his life. He was, what would they call those days, what they call the kid leaders. He was part of Strasser's government. They were in their 20s when they took over power, and up to the time when he also overthrew the government of Strasser and became the leader. The civilian leadership is really negotiated from him, and he has also leveraged on that to go back into office. So here is his challenge. First and foremost, his credibility comes to play. For him to be effective, he has to be credible, and that would also call to his own political credentials. What are his political credentials at home? He has been challenged by the 2023 elections, which up to today does not have a universal acceptance. And the economy is also threatened. Yes, he's laying emphasis on human capital, he's laying emphasis on education, but beyond that, he also has to actually play out his leadership qualities that he needs to unlock. He is not longer a greenhorn in politics. He is, so to speak, a leader who should by now be leading by example. So here is the challenge for him. For you to be able to have and actually actualize those aspirational policies that he outlined, he has to actually hone his own credentials and also come to terms with the fact that until home is good enough for the people of Sierra Leoneans, he may not have what? The domestic support. He needs that, because in any case, your colleagues that you are rallying around, the policies that you want to drive, you have to drive them through what? Your credentials. How do your colleagues view you? Do they see you as somebody who could be trusted? Are you one that could be trusted? That comes to play. But beyond that, I do not have any doubt that he would actually justify the confidence repose in him, because if he fails, the question would be, yes, the two past leaders are of the old bloc, older statesmen. You had Nana Akufo, and he did very well. And President Tinubu has also done very well. Two of them successively, they had their challenges. The challenge of what? First, it was Guinea, now then followed by Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. All of that ethic is coming to play. And until you have a very decisive and purposeful attendance to that, ECOWAS will be weakened further. ECOWAS need, like I said, it needs to be purposeful. It needs to follow the path of progress, both from within, because much of the trouble that ECOWAS is having is because the majority of its people are uneducated and poor. And once you have that, that is actually, what you call it now, a recipe for the strife that we have. So it's a very serious leadership position that I am hopeful that he, because of his credential and because of who he is, he should be able to, what we call it, play out successfully.
Well, you just mentioned a very interesting part, which is also, you know, trying to rate President Tinubu's two-year chairmanship period. How do you think he'll be remembered? Because in this season we had, or yes, within the tenure of his leadership, we had pretty serious concerns about Burkina Faso, about Mali, and lastly Niger. And it would seem that some people said, oh, what was done with ECOWAS, with him as the chair, were certain missteps. Would you say that will be what his tenure will be remembered for, given the fact that you know, these people left under his leadership? Or would you say that he was trying to be assertive for ECOWAS, on behalf of ECOWAS, given what it is that the regional body is supposed to stand for?
There is nothing he could have done, so to speak, about Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. The French or the Anglophone bloc, which was actually one of the blocs that formed the ECOWAS Union, they've always had their own peculiarities. Their bond with France and the economic dependence of France come with its own real peculiarities. And for a very long time, ECOWAS had believed that they had gone past the nightmare of coups. Mind you, ECOWAS was formed by coup veterans, and but they saw the need for economic integration and political stability. That was why they actually formed ECOWAS. Yadema and Yakubu Kwan saw the need to go past those constitutional aberrations for economic prosperity, and you cannot have that without having a stable democratic life for the region. And luckily, for a long time, like I said, we had thought that we have gone past that. And when you now had, first in Guinea, and successively you have what had happened in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, it will scare anybody to his own bone marrow. And the initial response to me was expected, but there is also the issue of leadership that comes with what? Being very cautious and circumspect. President Tinubu knew that if
Mr. Kargbo, I'm afraid, yes. I'm so sorry. I wish we had more time. We really do have to go. But I believe that our viewers would have taken some meat from what it is that you have told us this morning, especially about the region, the tenor of President Tinubu, and also the task that lies ahead for President Madabiu. We have to thank you very much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Well, Mr. Sam Kargbo is the senior advocate of Nigeria.